Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Boy, am I excited about our guest today. Before I introduce you to them, here's a quote just for this episode. I can accept rejection. I can't accept not trying. Jeff J. Cunningham, our guest today, a great friend. We go back years. I remember being in the field working and seeing this man like a storm fly into an office and have a conversation. One of the greats, one of the best, someone we deeply love and care about on the Culture Matters podcast. The one and only, the real Bradley, episode 49 or 51. That's when I first had the opportunity to meet Jeff J. Cunningham, formerly known as Jeff the Entrepreneur, who's went from being a teacher of young adults to being a teacher of business leaders, business owners, founder of CLC.com, which is Changing Lives Consulting, the founder of Changing Lives Community, and just somebody I greatly admire. And I don't think I'm alone in this with his intentionality, his work ethic, his belief. And I think there's so much that we could learn from his example. Jeff, thanks for coming on the Culture Matters podcast. I wanted to have you on for some time.
Yeah, man. I was listening to some of your podcasts. I love it. I love what it's about. I love
Thanks.
that quote in the beginning. That is the epitome of my life. Of I can accept rejection. I can't accept not trying, you know?
Why? Where does that come from? What was the inspiration for that? I actually it stuck out to me when I was preparing. I saw it on your Facebook profile in like a treatise that you wrote down there, and it stuck out. So why? Where does that come from? I can't accept rejection. I can't accept not trying.
Yeah, so really quick, there was one girl I wanted to marry back in the day, and everybody told me she wouldn't marry me and all this stuff. And she was going to go marry a guy in the Navy, and he had this whole he had everything that I didn't have, right? And my mom just passed away. My dad lost his job. I went to work. So at the start, the odds were stacked up against me for this guy, but I had to know if she really liked me or not. So I went and even though by the time I reconnected with her, she was back and engaged with another guy. I still went off and I bought another ring. And I bought off another ring because I was like, I know that's it, but let me drive all the way there and at least ask her my piece. He's the only girl, still today, the only girl asked to marry me. And as I drove all the way through and I gave a dashboard proposal, to ask her to marry me. She was crying. She didn't want to leave Connecticut. She didn't want to leave to go to the other place, and it was kind of like The Notebook. You ever see the movie The Notebook?
Yes, years ago, but
So
yes.
exactly kind of like that. But instead of how it worked out for that guy, it didn't work out so much for me. Um, but the
Oh,
whole point of that, man, and that at
wow.
that point, it was the perfect moment for me, even as they tell you that moment, but it wasn't the perfect moment for her because she was getting engaged. So it showed me that I should start taking action sooner, right? And I went on a whirlwind after that
Wow.
moment when she went on and married the other guy that she was engaged to. But at least I found out where we stood on, and she really did like me. I mean, it's a long story for it, but I had a shot, and even though it didn't work out, man, and that one shelled me for a while. There's a song, "If I Can't Have You, I Don't Want Anybody Else," and I just kind of led by that. So a lot of times now, I'm 39 years old today. I finally now wrote down with one of my mentors that I'm ready to start a family now, wherever that is, but business will never be perfect, but the right woman to build with you is worth it. But I kind of shut out women for a while and got my heart broken and used that marketing story that I just opened
Yeah.
here with for time, but it was a true story, man. And but I really still that quote, I can accept rejection. I could accept if she said no. And I bought the ring, but I could accept not giving her the option, saying, "Hey, there's enough stuff I had thought about you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And the Lord didn't have it in the cards how it was. And it's probably better too, because I've always been very entrepreneurial. And maybe, I would have been, it might not have worked out that well. So who knows? But yeah, that's what really popped in my
Wow.
mind right there.
In what ways, if at all, has that philosophy been instrumental in you starting your business and you starting with your personal brand and developing all of these very powerful relationships?
Yeah, so I'll take you on the timeline really quick. So, I grew up homeschooled in a family, loved it. My mom obviously passed away, that I said. Got taken in by that family. And then
Oh,
when that moment happened, I wanted to play football. And I decided, I want to be quarterback and play football. Now, I was homeschooled. I didn't go to college. I actually, it's a long story, but wasn't in the clearinghouse, all this stuff that I had to go for SATs. I wound up playing semi-pro quarterback in a thing, and I wound up starting. And from someone who didn't play any quarterback going forward and going out there competing with these guys who played their whole life, and just put myself up there, and you have to faith it till you make it, right? I just could accept that they told me I wasn't good enough. And literally, one of the coaches, he showed me third on the depth chart and was like, "Hey man, you're a fourth." He's like picking it in their position. And it was right when Tim Tebow was starting and making some waves right at those years at the Broncos. So I decided not to move. I wound up coming in and starting. Everybody started calling me Tebow when he won. And it was a great moment. And I played it for a while after that. I wound up getting picked up by a bunch of teams. And it just showed me that, that gave me so much confidence. And then another thing was I'm not a really great swimmer, right? You can't breathe too well. A girl at the middle school that I used to be a teacher at, I raised my hand to be a lifeguard because who wouldn't want to be a lifeguard, right? And she laughed, and they're gonna laugh at you sometimes. She's like, "Oh, you be a lifeguard?" So I got up and I made a declaration and said, "Hey, no matter what, I'm gonna do whatever to become a lifeguard." Kind of in a dramatic
wow.
way, right? I think it made her roll her eyes, but I wound up becoming a lifeguard. I had to do the save up against her. So certain points like this, as soon
Wow.
as I wanted to do something, going out there and doing it, knowing that if I didn't become a quarterback, it was fine. And there was a lot of work to do. If I didn't become a lifeguard, I could accept it. And I did both those things. And what that did, it built confidence. Okay. And it made me believe I could do anything else. And then fast forward to my brother, my older brother, the one who passed away on drugs, fentanyl. If anybody doesn't know the story, my brother, me and him, he's the one who came up from Boca Raton, Florida. I'm out here in Miami now. And he said, "Hey, I want to build a coffee shop, music studio with you." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I was still teaching at the behavioral middle school, loved it. And long story short, um, I went to wake him up. He didn't wake up. He died on drugs, fentanyl. My older brother. Yeah, you didn't know that.
What year was that?
This was 2016, actually. I used to always say it was 2018. I kind of got in a fog for two
Wow.
years. Um, so he
I'm
passed away.
sorry.
Yeah, it was the worst day of my life. Everybody's saying it's not your fault. I kept thinking it was my fault. This is what got me into personal growth. My dad gave me a book, Power of Subconscious Mind. You ever read that book?
Yes, I don't recall the author.
Dr. Joseph Gordon Murphy, great book. You would like it because I know we like a lot of Jordan Peterson and stuff like that in that
Yeah.
same vein, right? So my mind was messed up. I went home that day. They were about to medicate me, and they gave me a book. And I basically, dude, I basically that's when I found myself,
Wow.
right? I got out of bed and wrote down, "I'm gonna build the biggest franchise that on my brother called Kokomo Jays. You don't give up in America." And follow the journey and watch. And that's what we're doing. There's a quote: "If you help enough people get where they want, you get to where you want." And that, if I can accept rejection, I can't accept not trying. My first business was trying to do a photography business and shoot a wedding. And I went because I used to teach photography at school. I made a little presentation, gold, silver, platinum package. I went to someone's wedding and I called it Take Two Photography. It was my first try at a company. And I could accept that they said no to my proposal. A lot of people said no, but you just need one yes. So, and that's it, man. And the yeses get you through. And even though I was always starting up, even today, now I've taken on 50K clients, 30K clients who pay me $2,000 an hour for consulting calls. Like, it's not that everybody does that, but it's the people who see the value, the need, and know where I'm at and know that I can actually be of service to, their brand, their business, where they're at.
You mentioned there was a woman that didn't believe in you as it related to the lifeguard. For those that resonate with the others around them and outside of them, casting shade or disbelief, doubt their way, and maybe their natural inclination is to shrink back. What advice do you have for our listeners that they're in that scenario now and they're shrinking back? They're not moving forward the way that you did.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's your life, man, and it's your life, and you get to choose the role you want into it, and that's the biggest thing I can. We've all watched movies, all listen to songs. You get to pick that role in life you want. Um, and every great things come out outside people's comfort zones. Just think about it. Even the people shy back. Anytime you did something great, it was when you went outside someone's comfort zone. So really, just a fear is the direction. Like, of course, I was afraid, right? But fear is literally direction. Anything you get afraid, which way, like we're doing a workshop tonight. People might not show up, right? It was fearful to put this on. You got to put it on anyway. You can either retreat or you can go at it, right? So I encourage you to attack it. You'll just become stronger of who you are. With that, I'm a better swimmer now because of it, right? I have more confidence now. If I whittled away, and I could have very easily said, "Oh, I'm not a lifeguard. I'm not a horrible swimmer," right? And I'm really not the great swimmer, right? Like it's crazy that I became a lifeguard. But my point in saying that is she had every right to laugh. Like she wasn't wrong, but I
Uh,
challenge myself to be better, right? And you can always improve. Everybody here, the one thing, no matter where you're at, you can be better than you were right now. So a lot of people who do shy away, it's because they have a self-belief thing and they believe that people don't care. It all comes to 80% mindset. And the biggest belief, well, I'll ask you now, Jay, do you believe people care or people don't care?
mixture. I guess it depends who the people are.
True. So it's a lot of it's perspective, right? So with personal branding, getting out there, you putting out the culture podcast, you
Yeah.
have enough belief in yourself that people care. By doing that, your reticular activating system, okay, will find the people who care, people who listen to this conference, podcast. The people, let's say, want to start their podcast, they don't. They have a belief people don't care, right? So if you don't have a people don't care, your reticular activating system will find the people who don't care. So you'd be less encouraged. And then that's the grumpy people you see out there are the people who do that. Like, heck, even the homeless guy down here on the street has more belief that people care because he's out there hustling for a dollar, right? Because he knows somebody will. So a lot of
Hmm.
times, so many people get so mad about the situation they're in, but it really comes from a stem of belief.
Uh, what about because you connect people? Has
Yeah.
that been something that has been natural to you over time, or have you refined? Was it natural to you in the beginning of your life, or have you refined it over time, becoming the founder of CLC.com and
Yeah,
putting yourself out there in these different circles? Like,
that's a
was it
great
natural, or did you work on it?
That's a great question. When I was 8 or whatever, I had a lemonade stand, right? So I was the kid. My mom let me put out a lemonade stand. I was the one. I got $80 the first day. My mom got me a whole bunch of products. My brother and sister and I had them out advertising. So I've always had this entrepreneur niche with me, and I've always had a really good memory, like a really good memory, and be able to predict stuff in the future. And then as I started going to all these mastermind events, now I have my own mastermind, but that we launched out. But besides that, I was going to all these other mastermind events and stuff. I really just genuinely wanted to help people. That was really it. And I just wanted to help. And I just would remember people. So if I remembered someone
Wow.
here and I remember someone here, and like Jay, you told me you could do something, then I would connect them, like I've done it to multiple people, whether they're very high up, big brands like we know, or low people. It's just, yeah, it just would happen out of being trying to
How
help.
would you say that's helped your career, and would you advise people listening that are following you on your journey to do that, to make those connections?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it does help. So I think connections are is everything, right? Relationships are everything in life, and a lot of times everybody does it with, hey, when they're working on, hey, I know a guy who can work on your fridge, right? It just gets different in the business world, especially because the business world gets so muddy sometimes. People are so trying to make money, make a quick buck. So when you really do have those genuine connections, right? People appreciate that because everybody's been hosed or maybe not gotten the service they want in any field. It's not just consulting or not just marketing, at the window business. So it just builds trust out of it. And really what you want to do by building out your brand, you got to be careful though, because like people that you support or connect, that's an endorsement on them, especially as your brand gets bigger. Like my brand's whatever it is. So now it's even more an introduction. When I put someone's name out there, and I've done before, and I do paid advertisements and paid sponsorships on my podcast, but I'm very careful on who we do it for, right? One thing I will say, anybody who is a really gifted connector, get something as simple as it is, and it's nothing bad, but like I have it. You can always text me for it. It's a MSA. It's like a marketing service agreement, where that way you can Google it and get it. We have a copy too. We give it inside our mastermind. But basically, if you're making a connection and there's business made of it, you get paid 10% on it. You know what I mean? It's just a good way for good people will help you out on that. We have a VA company as well. That's its internal company, and we didn't build out the referral program as well because that's just a baby company, right? But people are always trying to refer us for that because we started doing a good service. So you'll get natural referrals on that, but connections everything in life, So yeah, do it, but also have like a contract in mind and be careful who you connect. Meaning like I think one of the things I did so long was because I had Instagram growth software. I would do all these shout outs with people. And like, maybe not all the people deserve, a total endorsement from me, So
Hmm.
going forward, you just be more clear on that,
I saw you go up to the microphone at you were at the Patrick Bet David's gathering of consultants. What now? A lot of people, I'm sure, in that room thought about going up there to say something. What were you thinking when you were walking up to the mic? Because you didn't just go up there and say something. You kind of had a presence, I thought. I thought you came with a lot of power.
Yeah, the Lord's given me a good gift. Now that I get paid to speak on stages and stuff like that, I've really honed it. So a lot of times people will go to an event and they won't make the most out of an event. And what you really want to do, especially if you're branding and marketing yourself, God's give if you have the gift to speak, even if you're scared, God's giving you a gift to speak out there, and you have a story and something to share, then go speak it. So like that's a way you can like, although I'm not speaking at the vault. Which one was it? Last year or the year before? Because I
2024. Oh, well,
okay.
this is
I grab
the
the mic every
uh,
year. So the other
every year.
Oh yeah, every year. Pat knows. But that's how people know you. You know what I mean? Like they remember, especially if you tell a story. One of the years, I'll share it today on my Instagram at Jeff the Entrepreneur, but was me rededicating my business to God. I lost everything. I did it, and I shared an emotional story, which was a true story at that time. Great moment, everyone. This one I decided to be a little bit more funny. I said, "Hey, I'm going to find my future wife here," and I really made a
I
present
saw that. Yeah.
because I don't know how much I want to share about that, but because there was, I'm being more mindful on things like that. But I was trying to not self sabotage myself. So many times I would get scared if I liked somebody, I would self sabotage all the time. That's why I wound up single all the time. I felt like women didn't help you with your business. I felt like they always took from you. I created this whole negative thing just because I didn't know how to deal with relationships. I go to therapy and stuff for it now.
Oh, it's
Just to
great.
really, yeah, just really solve through a lot of that. I think a lot of what it comes from someone for me, losing my mom when I was young, losing my brother.
Yeah.
Really, when I love somebody, pulling them tight, I'm just thinking about like me losing them. Like it's like, and I watch, my dad watch. So that's why I push people away, and even my employees right now, Shalom, Nathaniel, Ken, Amber, all these people that work with me, I'm always worried like when they're going to leave me. Like it's a constant fear because I kind of built up a defense. So we're willing that away so I can let myself go into it. So me doing that public relation was a presence. It was me being the mic, but it also might have been a way of me self sabotaging it because it probably freaked out the girl. So
Have you ever always been this transparent?
yeah, and I'm learning to not be as much anymore. So
Oh,
less
no, don't keep
more.
being transparent.
Well, thanks. I know. I think it's good for everybody. See, I always felt like my life's a reality show, and like This is like I want to be the leading star. So, because people by being transparent in there, like, so let me ask this: were you in the office with Bradley when I came in with the gift with the that time?
That moment is imprinted in my mind and always will be.
So that was you. What were you doing? I knew you. I didn't know you from that moment. What were you doing in Bradley's office then? What was that?
We've been working together for years. He's one of the most instrumental relationships in my life. I put him in the Mount Rushmore, with my wife, Brad. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
agree.
get emotional thinking
Brad,
about it.
people always give Brad a hard time, and all these guys.
No, he's a no. Well, fine, they could give him what they want. He's a genius of a high order, and a self-taught person, and he's helped so many people. The ripple effects of someone
Oh,
with his
100%. I
heart
just,
and his mind. But that I
yep.
remember you walking in there
Mhm.
with your gimbal, you would say, and high five and your picture, and you had great energy. And that was, I
I
mean,
gave
how
him a
many
gift
years
of
ago?
wine. The
How many
video
years
is
ago
on
was
there.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, and he had the
five
rhinos in
years.
his office, right?
Does it? Yeah, you try counting, you won't be able to.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that's insane, dude. I forgot you were
I
in
think
there.
I had long hair then too. I
Yeah,
don't
you did
know.
have long hair.
Yeah, that was yeah, yeah,
To
yeah.
give
That was
Bradley
probably
a
6 years
little
ago.
testimony, Bradley believed in me in that moment. I don't know if you remember. He said, "Hey, man, maybe you're next," and how Bradley would do it, right? But it made me, him and Tim Story were two guys who really, I just
Wow.
said Brad on Christmas and said, "Hey, man, thanks for believing in me, all this stuff too." It's so full circle how Amrinder Kamboj, you know what Amrinder Kamboj is?
No.
So his name's Ami. He just put on an event in Cabo. It was the one I was at Cabo. Andy Elliott spoke. I spoke, and then Bradley. And Bradley, because we know each other,
Oh yeah.
and I had a bunch of my people there. And me and Brad probably brought the most amount of people there actually at the event because we were
Oh,
both Ami just basically put on the most least sales. That domination conference, we're going to do one again. I actually was just talking to him. He became a client of ours now. It's literally the most selfless giving conference as it was. Ami, you'll see this guy. You probably have him on your podcast too. He's,
yeah.
he did a lot in the e-com store space, but we're really building out his community now and his domination conference. He's because he had Bradley, Andy Elliott, myself at his event. I helped bring a bunch of people to it, but it was just cool speaking right before Bradley, and then Bradley giving me like he's like, oh, I was gonna make fun of Andy Elliott, but then Jeff went right, and it was just like it just
That's
Brad
cool.
reminds me a lot of my older brother. I don't know if you ever saw the podcast with me and Bradley. Do you ever see it?
Uh, is it you on Dropping Bombs or him on your show, the Make More
Yeah, yeah,
Money podcast?
yeah, it was on my show. It was
Okay.
back in the day. He was like the first big time guest I got, right? It was when I was
Yeah,
rebranding.
this had to be in 2019
Yeah, it was a long
or
time. We
something.
just remixed it. We just re-aired it. I actually re-aired it when I was
Great.
in Cabo to show that everything Brad taught me in that podcast, I took action on, which is why now I'm doing the stage with him and speaking on more stages, you know? So, and Brad's thing was just be yourself, go do it, keep it simple, right?
Yep.
All that stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. Hey, I'm on a podcast. That's my life. Um, so I want to ask this because you have a track record in creating opportunities. What's your advice for our listeners that want to create opportunities with those that are currently beyond their level of influence, authority? It seems almost out of reach.
Yeah.
What process do you go through? What
This is the
advice would you
process.
have?
This
Yeah.
is the process. It's self belief. Comes down to mindset. It's my life. Everybody's living in it. They would be lucky to be with me, right? You got to go that way because if you don't, you don't. And then generally care and just like you see, generally be curious about somebody and what they need, right? Or what they like. Take interest in them, right? Like we'll just take Brad for it. He liked this special bottle of wine. I looked it up. I got him a bottle of wine. Dude, back in
Wow.
the day, I had so much credit card debt and everything. That $300 bottle of wine or whatever it was probably the best thing I've ever put on my credit card because it built a relationship in there, right?
Wow.
But not that you have to always be giving people gifts. People give me gifts all the time. I lose them. Someone gave me Versace sunglasses in Cabo. I left them there,
Wow.
right? So,
Shit.
which I'm so mad about. They look good on me too. But my point in saying it is like just be generally interested. Even Pat, when I went down to his studio, his podcast, and I brought one of my inner circle mastermind members to it. We had a conversation. Everybody's around all Google eyes on Pat, and
Yeah.
I just came from a point of like, hey, service. And a lot of times, all these people are just like
Service.
us. They want to help people. If you give them a way that they can help you, but in like a story that reminds them of them, it's cool. So like, I talked to Pat really quick about like, hey man, I'm scared to get married. I keep running away. I want to be a father. And Patrick's thing, because I know his need, if you listen to him, is he wants to start as many families. So then he starts really imparting, and he knows me for a while. He starts imparting in wisdom to me, and we started going back and forth in front of everybody. It was a great conversation between both of us.
Wow.
He actually made a video for me. I was like, hey, let's take a picture at the end, right? And I don't really do pictures. This is another thing I'll say. It's a great hack. Don't do pictures with anybody of influence. Do videos and tell your story if they'll allow you to, because you'll
I
see
like that. Yeah.
reaction in their eyes when you're telling your story. There was a girl just recently, one of my other clients in Mastermind. She went to take a picture with Jay Balvin, right? Do you know who Jay Balvin is?
No.
He's like some Latina singer girl. One of my ex
Okay.
model girls was in his video, right? I no stranger to that, but he manifested being wherever he's at, whether or not he's a great character or anything. I don't know about his music and stuff, but she just went and took a picture with him like a fan. If she told her story about how she manifested getting here to US and he
Sure.
manifested and they both listened to Bob Proctor, that's a connection piece. So just don't, I wouldn't take pictures. I would share your story. Um, I'm writing a book on this actually. It's coming out called Getting Rich in Recession. It's exactly when everything happened.
Getting rich in a recession.
That's the working title. We might change it
Okay.
differently. It's when COVID hit and I started this whole business, but it's gonna come out pretty good soon.
And what's it about? What's it
So it's
about?
it's about it's about really getting rich relationships, right? And how I connected with so many different people over a year who really built. Because here's the thing: the world was built by nobody smarter than any of us, right? But it was never built by one person. You need other people. And understanding like the four different personality tasks there are, and knowing this is why I'm generally curious, hey, maybe you're a little more analytical than me. Maybe I'm more of a go. Well, I need you to look at my side. I'm going to go here. Being generally curious about where people are so you can bring them in. But no matter what, all four different types of personalities, if they can all do one powerful, which is tell their own personal story, it builds up connections, especially if it's a part where it's something you struggle with and I struggle with, then we relate. When you don't do that, when you don't do that, you come off very surface, you come off a commodity, a product. When you come a personal story, you become a person. So
What is so someone that's listening that wants to get to know you better, and now they're curious about what changing lives consulting can do for them. What types of problems are they facing right now that there's probably alignment between what your business does and what they need? What are the problems?
So I hate to keep saying it, a lot of it comes down to psychology and mindset, right? So a lot of psychology and mindset of really just get over the first hump, telling a personal brand story, right? Building an offer that they can charge that much or they can charge it that way with not ripping somebody off, and then making connections, right? Those things, story, offer, connections is what we do in all platforms in life. Obviously we do
Okay.
webinars and automated webinars and AI, right? Which is part of it. The biggest thing I'll say about AI right now, there's so many AI influencers, AI stuff in there. There's going to be AI people doing the live chat selling products as people are in QVC and TikTok shop. That's all in the future coming. One thing that won't go away is there's only going to be so many humans there. So being as human as you are now, even more so, like don't just write your next book on ChatGPT. Actually take time to write it. Use it. Use these tools. That the ChatGPT is a phenomenal tool. You should use it all the time. You should have it learn about you. I wouldn't be so scared about it. Embrace all that stuff. But be more yourself, right? Because you'll stand out more when the world, and we're not going to be able to tell the difference because it's coming pretty soon. By being yourself more, you'll stand out more often than all these other. Oh, it's just another AI phone call. It's just an AI stuff. It's almost like the handwritten letter. That's where we're going to. Handwritten letter is so much more valuable because nobody writes it, right? That's where we're going with the world of AI.
So be yourself more is a fundamental component, like philosophy of yours. So I'm gonna make sure I follow you correctly. You're helping people with their story. So like what is it, how to tell it through
Yep.
the social platforms? And then you said offer. So is that how to price it, how to present it, how to construct it? And then three, connection, you said, is that like how to sell it and how to market it?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll take three products. We have a product called Story to Stage. Okay, it's one of our courses to tell your story and get on stages, just like I've done, right? In that, you got to learn how to tell your story. You got to build an offer. Okay, you got to book on stage. We have another one. What is it? Podcasting Profits. This is a new course coming out, right?
Oh,
We're doing it. You got to tell the stories like you're telling here. You got to build an offer so you can get sponsors, right? And then you got to make connections so you can basically have more people listen to it or share it, right? Same thing. Okay, let's go to digital course product,
great.
right? You want to build a digital course or community, you can tell a story of the community, right? So I'll do it for my Changing Lives Mastermind. So I've joined a bunch of masterminds over the years. I decided after building other people's 25K, 50K masterminds, we launched our 100K mastermind at 25K, right? And to do that, we're going to give all trips for the year between Italy, Cancun, Miami, doing a workshop here tonight, all the stuff that people want to do. This is like our, thing. We're going to tell the story tonight of why I started this community. Okay. We're going to build the offer well of this is how much value it is, but why we're starting out this price for everybody here. And then we're going to make connections. We're going to say, hey, listen, for this offer in here, we're going to offer a network of connections by people investing this big ticket. We can do multifamily syndication, et cetera, right? So whatever the thing is. So in any business, you need a story, offer, connection. Make sense?
And now, right now, the people that are listening to this, they can opt in for to be a part of your community.
Yeah.
Or is
So
it
exactly. So we have two communities. What they are. We just moved over to the school platform. Kind of. We were hosting it on there as well. So if you search, I think you search AI and automations. We named it that right now because that's the course we're building for it because AI is just so built in. We had to revamp our old online business blueprint course. It's not even old, it's new, but with AI, everything gets old, you know? And yeah, our Changing Life community, if they just DM me like apply, then they'll get a link and they can get on with Amber Wilson and she'll go over and make sure they're the right fit for it, you know?
And how often did you say you're meeting physically?
Oh, we do workshops in Miami where I live every end of the month. You know, kind of very similar like we were talking about Ebony
Wow.
and What's a Wagon. She does that. We do that as
Yeah.
well. It's just because whatever brand I build up, Jay, people want to meet up with me, get coffee with me every like 4 times a week. So what I did,
Really?
started picking a day where we'd all meet up together because I'm a connector. I'd be wasting my time. I'd meet you for coffee. You tell me you need something. I'd go then meet someone else. I'd have to connect you here, and I'd be doing this. So I was like, you know what? This is my God given gift. Let me build one time when if everybody wants, they can make time and come to it. And and it started as Miami meetups. Then it turned into signature dinners where people like buy a ticket for a dinner. And now it turned into full on workshops where we'll teach something. You know, I'll teach something at the end.
D did you have a word for 2024?
Yeah, my word was community actually for 20. If you go on our site at getclc.com/OBB, it'll say 2024 word is community, you know?
What's it like looking back at the year? Would you say that you accomplished that, or you feel you fell short, or what's your view?
Yeah, so I think we had this before. So I built out all these communities. We have the Finance Insider community, which is a multifamily syndication thing. For Robert, I watched that community get built and start as that is just some good people in there. I've just watched people as we put on Angela's Empower Her Money conference, the whole women and building like whatever
Yeah,
that was we had in community. So did a lot of that before too. Even the Domination conference in their community, building a lot of communities forward. Now the time is now. I met Tim Story and he was like, "Hey Jeff, I had him on my podcast. He was like, build other people's dream before you build yours, right?" Even the Progretta community. I have an equity and a goal high level called Progretta because we care about progression daily. I went out there. I was kind of the ringleader with some other people for the affiliate. We sponsored an event in Vegas, the expo, and we did the Progretta, you know, our goal high level and that community. So now the time is now to really just dominate and own, you know, our mastermind in 2025, you know.
amazing. Well, we're recording this on Saturday, right before New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve of 2024 is going to be on Tuesday. So, in that spirit, do you have a word for 2025 or something you want to put out there that we could look back in a year and reflect on this show?
Yeah, so and I'll go off because I spoke at the domination conference and we're screaming out. It would be dominate. I think where we're at, you know, I was holding so much back before, kind of, you know, as I was building other people's dreams, so I was kind of not in the limelight, right? I was just documenting. Now we're really going to be very tactical about my brand, dominating content, dominating the way we need to do, doing what the Lord's given me to do right now to really lead in the way I am. That way, if I do get married, you know, I have the money to provide for whatever lady. These ladies all cost a lot of money. I don't care where you're at, right? They all like to shop. So and that's good for them, man. They should shop. They should buy everything, you know. I'm so scarred, I think, by every Miami girl taking me out here trying to take me for money that you know it has scarred me a little bit. But that's why I just gave up on it for a little bit. Although I think they're all great women, man. I love where we're at there. But dominate's definitely it. We're going to dominate this year with everything. I actually brought on a few people, you know, invested in myself again to up level. I always invest in myself as well, just to build our community better, you know?
I think it's, just something that crossed my mind earlier is you said that you were a quarterback.
Yes.
That's in my speculation of that position, that's the position that's has the vision. They see the whole field.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in person. Peterson, I'm big student of
Yeah.
Peterson,
Yeah.
and he talks about his dad, who just passed. He was a shot. He had maybe hundreds of these guns. He would a sharp shoot. He would practice shooting these one-shot rifles, and he tells this really deep story about how he thought he figured out what it was. His dad wanted, he had an aim. Like his whole life was this obsession around shooting this one-shot rifle and like hitting the target. And it's had this deeply profound impact, Peterson thinks, on himself and his mission. And I think That's something that crossed my mind when you were talking. You were the quarterback and you have this vision. And something I've observed of you is you've attracted all these visionaries towards you.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable and it's admirable. And I'm excited to see, to see you continually do what
So,
you're
and I
doing.
mean this
So,
is all way the Lord's kind of given me like I'm next, right? In a certain way like that, right? And I think everybody knows it. And I've been kind of timid walking into it. I'm like, well, let me build this other purpose brand. So now I'm dominating, I'm walking into 2025 being like, hey, this is the year I'm doing it. I'm going out there. I'll get the wife, get the kids, right? The whole deal I need to do for that to build a coffee shop, to build what the Lord's given me to do. I rededicated my business to God. God's working with me more than ever before. Colossians 3 is all about don't do shoddy work, do everything you can to work, be as if the Lord was. And a lot of times, too, in the world, I wasn't mastering everything. I was just kind of winging it because I was able to, be likable enough in it. And you're right. As a quarterback, I always saw the vision. I still see it clearly. I see Kokomo J's by the coffee
uh,
shop. I see all the people going into it. I see my wedding. I see all the big time shop people come in, right? Everybody's rooting for me. But now a lot of times too, I was talking to one of my guys the other day who actually just uh, invested in me too. He kind of, I'll like say
wow.
he's worth like 10 million, very successful guy. I would say his name, but he tells me he doesn't want the variety. But he was like, hey man, don't be their side chick, you know? He's like, it's your time. And he's right. I actually wrote it on here on the board for it. He said, hey, maybe comment on every event that you go to. You go to all these events, which one's real, but do it in a good way. People like you. Who's really looking out for me. So I've been very blessed that a lot of high level people just saw me, and I don't think I'm working hard enough. I think I should be farther. You see every kid faking a Lambo, making a ton of money online, and here I'm just like, I feel like I'm really just trying to help people. We finally created a paywall for me, Jay. I never knew what that was. I would just
Wow.
you didn't take my phone. I would just call and pick up. I know they Pat tried to get me on my neck, and it just felt wrong charging people for stuff that I really want to help people for. I love all these other guys and how they did it. I just want to do it differently. I love Hermosi. I love Gary Vee, how they kind of do. I love Russell Brunson. Just how they all kind of just have that good heart for it. And I just want to, give it that way as a marketer, right? We help people do webinars. We help people sell online businesses, courses, right? We help people do that. So by doing that, you know, you want to do it in a way where it's just you're not scamming people. You're really giving them the mixed value. It's a very muddy people. There's all people hate this whole world, but literally, and
Mm.
I had a huge fear to be liked for a while, right? So that's part of the reason why I didn't want the picture perfect content because I looked a little bit edgy, then people wouldn't hate on me because it looked like I was trying to make it, right? But as I look back, I've done a lot. We've closed quite a few 50K clients, 30K clients, $2,000 a call. We now hired Amber Wilson, who's protecting my time, and we're building on another course in AI mastery. I was just finishing that as well, which will be ever ending. I build courses in communities. That's basically what I've done. In this space, it's $1 trillion industry. I got my piece for the niece, as Bradley would say.
Well, I want to share you a quote that came up in a conversation right before this with Mike Drop Calhoun, someone very special that you should know. And it was, this was decided for me before I was chosen.
Oh
This is
wow.
my destiny. And that made me think, I think, you said you were brought in by a family after, mom. And yeah, I want to repeat, this was decided for me before I was chosen. This is my destiny. So I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the call today. Thanks for your time to be on the Culture Matters podcast. I challenge everybody that's listening to this episode to follow Jeff J. Cunningham, aka Jeff the Entrepreneur. How can they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, and by the way, I just followed what's his name? Mike Trap Calhoun. I use him
Yeah,
as a board advisor. It looks like a great guy. And by the way,
very much so.
this is a great, it's not courage when it's your calling, right? It's a great quote in the same way, kind of, right? But yeah, you
Love it.
can follow me for the time at Jeff the Entrepreneur. We also are on jeffjcunningham.com on my old site when I first started. If you want to have a laugh, go look it up. I'm leaving it up there for a little bit until January 1st when we rebrand it. But it's linked up with all my past blogs, me selling windows, me documenting the
Wow.
journey. It was when I was giving out free coaching sessions back in the day. You can see it out there. It's actually pretty cool. We're going to kick back the blog. And if you go to getclc.com/free, that's our newsletter. We're growing our email list. We do like, just valuable little documented blogs on kind of the journey, seeing it until we get to the coffee shop.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to the Culture Matters podcast. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much, my friend.